Welcome back to the Rich Eisen Show, not only to the listeners and viewers, but this gentleman who spent 9 seasons, highly successful seasons as head coach of the Carolina Panthers, 2-time NFL Coach of the Year, and a Super Bowl champion in his own right as a player. He is Ron Rivera. How are you, sir?
Doing well, Rich. Thank you.
So I appreciate you joining this program, and let me just jump right in with both feet, if you don't mind. Were you surprised by the conversation you had with David Tepper when he said that he was going to go in a different direction with you, Ron?
Yeah, I was surprised that it happened the way it did. I mean, it was a great conversation. It was very respectful. We discussed the whole situation, circumstances, and at the end of the day, I could understand his reasoning behind it. It made sense to me, and again, he's the owner, and it's what he decided. But to be honest, also he was wanted to look at some opportunities for some of the coaches. So, I understood it, and so. I got it, but it was hard because the truth is, I thought if it was going to happen, it would happen at the end of the year.
Well, yeah, I guess he did say that if he was already beginning to want to get feelers on who your replacement might be, he owed it to you to not have to hear it second or third hand that he was doing something like that, I guess. That's what he was saying.
Exactly, and that was probably the biggest thing was we talked about, that, hey, he wanted to, throw some things out there and kind of, shake the bushes a little bit, see what's out there. And I understood that. And one thing we also talked about, too, was he said, every week if we lose a game, Ron, you're going to hear the hot seat, that stuff, too. And quite honestly, he didn't think that would be fair either. So I appreciated that, him thinking about that.
Well, I mean, when I chatted with you in London prior to your eventual win in that London game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, things were trending in such a terrific direction with Kyle Allen. At one point, you were 5-3, and then we all know the 4-game losing streak happened. Do you think that had you eked that one out in the Green Bay snow or one in the Superdome, that you'd still be the coach of the Carolina Panthers right now?
I think so. I mean, a lot of things happened that kind of led us down this road, and probably the biggest thing was I think the attrition got to us. The injuries just kind of caught up. I think the more and more we moved forward and we didn't quite have our offensive line set. We didn't we didn't quite have all of our defensive linemen out there. Those things became tougher and tougher to compete. And I think unfortunately that's what got us at the end, because I'll tell you, there's still some guys playing some really dynamic football. I mean, when you put the TV on, you get a chance to watch Christian play the way he has, and DJ Moore, and Luke playing as hard as he can. I mean, there's a group of guys that are just giving everything they have, and unfortunately, there's not enough of those guys out there that are healthy.
Ron Rivera here on the Rich Eisen Show. And as for the future, again, now that you're out of the organization, is Kyle Allen a viable starting quarterback for the Carolina Panthers in your estimation for 2020?
I think in time. I think in time he could be a viable option. I just think that what's happened is the stuff that he knew and he did early on did really, really well. But the more and more people saw of him, the more and more he had to take onto his shoulders. It became difficult, and people seem to forget he's really a rookie right now. I mean, last year he started one game, and really didn't take a lot of snaps till the end of the year. This year everything was set up for Cam, and we had to kind of bounce around and change things. And he hasn't had the same starting cast around him. So, again, I just think that with time is the only thing that can really tell that, he shows he's got flashes. He's got that ability to make plays. So I think with time he can become a solid, viable answer for potentially a team going forward.
But interesting you say for a team, because I just don't know if Carolina's got the time with the decision that they have to make with Cam next year, knowing the inside information that you perhaps were having on Cam. What do you think Carolina's plans for Cam in 2020 are going to be, Ron?
Well, I think really everything's predicated on his health. I mean, he went and had the foot procedure done, and it should be a good recovery. He's been working hard for what I've heard. And again, knowing Cam, every time he's been truly counted out, he's always kind of bounced back. He's always found it and then just come back even better. So I really wouldn't bet against him. And again, it's all predicated on how that foot comes along. He talked about how good his shoulder finally felt, that type of stuff. So again, it looks like it's really now about focusing on and getting that foot ready to roll.
So if he's healthy, come March, you think he's going to be the starting quarterback of the Carolina Panthers in 2020?
Well, I don't know if he'll be ready by March, but I think if he comes back, it's an opportunity to compete. He's got a chance, and he really does. Like I said, I would never bet against Cam. Cam's just one of those kind of guys that has that kind of ability that, and when he gets rolling, I mean, he's as good as anybody in the league.
Well, I guess the only reason why I said March is that's obviously when the new league year hits and things need to get paid and stuff like that. So you don't think he'll be ready when those decisions get made? Do you? What time frame do you think, based again on your knowledge of the situation, when you think Cam might be ready to do something like that, Ron?
Oh, I hate to have to guess that. I just, like I said, he went in and had the procedure done, and as long as that foot heals up properly, and and we'll have to wait and see, when they make that decision.
Ron Rivera here on the Rich Eisen Show. What about you? What about your future, Ron?
Well, what I'm hoping is get the opportunity again to be a head coach in this league. It's funny. I've been working on preparing a coaching book. I've been preparing, for a number of possibilities out there, and just trying to get myself ready. Looking through a list of coaches that I know and coaches that are out there. So it's really just been, the last couple of weeks really has just really been about prepping and preparing and just kind of staying focused. I took a week off from football, and really I didn't watch any football that first weekend. But last week I kind of watched a few games to kind of get that a little bit about getting back out there. So
you can't quit it, Ron. You can't quit it. You can't quit it. Come on now. Come on.
I can't. It's 33 years. I mean, it's hard to just walk away and completely turn my back. So, like I said, I got a chance to watch and got an opportunity to watch some of the guys play, and it was kind of exciting to see those guys go out and play as hard as they did to give themselves a chance down the stretch.
So, what did you do in the weekend where you tapped out of football for the first time in 33 years? What golf? I
golfed. Yeah, we have some very good friends out here in Charlotte, and they all kind of huddled around us, and they kind of took us out, and we went out to dinner and distracted us on Saturdays. Went to a barbecue, and then on Sundays we got together with a group of friends and we golfed, and we hung out at the 19th hole and just kind of stayed through. And
nice.
What was interesting was but it really was, because just how mindful folks are. When we walked into there, they took all the TVs and put them all on golf and basketball. And that, seriously, and we didn't ask them to do it. Stephanie and I didn't ask them to do it. They just did it, and they just. It was so mindful, so respectful. It's so typical of the Charlotte community that we've been around, and just the fact that they did that for us, and it stuck out in my mind. It's like, God, it was very thoughtful of everybody.
But now that said, when you're playing and not coaching football, so do you still go for it though? You're still around the green. You're like, maybe I shouldn't flop shot this, but screw it, I'm going for it.
Yeah.
Is that your game too in golf? Also, Ron?
I did, believe me. That's part of my game. Is I tell everybody I didn't come 10,000 miles to lay up. So let's
go. You're riverboating on the golf course too. Is essentially what you're saying, Ron?
Yes.
Okay. I like that.
I'm having fun. And believe me, I need every shot because my wife's a single-digit handicap.
Nice.
She actually, she gave me no mercy. She crushed me. It was, I told her, I said, just remember, you got to build my self-esteem back up, babe.
That's a lot. Hey, look, a competitor is a competitor, whether she's your wife, your significant other, or not. So have you, Ron Rivera, been contacted by anybody yet? I'm not asking for names, but have you gotten in contact?
No, what I've heard is I've heard a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff is what you hear in a roundabout way. Somebody talked to somebody I know, that type of stuff. So it's all kind of clandestine right now, and everybody's kind of keeping things under wrap, and respectfully so. That's why I think you got to kind of keep it quiet.
Of course, because again, in the same way that David Tepper said, hey, look, I want to be up front with you. I'm kicking tires. I want to kick tires on other people. I don't want you to hear it secondhand. You're part of this coaching fraternity here, Ron, right? The fact that if you're starting hunting and pecking for gigs, that means that somebody else might be on. It's such a difficult world. It really is so sensitive.
It is. And again, I just, I think, behind the scenes, away from everything, that part I get. And because, again, the game is so competitive now that you've got to be ready to go as soon as things happen.
So all that said, before I let you go, Ron Rivera here on the Rich Eisen Show. if you could, obviously after 9 years and being through the crucible, breaking in obviously a highly talented quarterback, generationally talented guy like Cam, going to a Super Bowl with him, being on the ups and downs where you had a very difficult stretch and then caught fire and you won division championships 3 in a row in a division that we all know is a revolving door atop there. All that said, what pitfalls might befall a coach and things of that nature, from ownership to situations. What would you choose if you could wave a wand and say, I want to coach again and I want this situation? What would your ideal scenario be? Whether it's shopping for the groceries, all of that stuff. What would it be, Ron?
Well, I think really it's a current roster that's a young roster. It's got a good core. I think a cooperative owner and general manager that understands that the 53 is got to be ours. It's a decision we all got to make. But come game day, I think the 46 has to be leaning towards the head coach's discretion. Because again, he's the one that's going to be out on the field, and you want to make sure you're not handicapping your coordinators as far as the 46 is concerned. So, again, like I said, I understand there's a protocol into how things go, but to me, the 53 has got to be a collaborative effort, but the 46 really going forward is really all about the game planning and making sure that the coaches have what they need to come game day.
And then just to put a blunt question to you, you do want to coach again, yes?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Believe me. What's funny is I told Stephanie, I said, the hardest Sunday wasn't the first Sunday out. The hardest Sunday was the second Sunday out because I actually watched the games. I probably would have been better off if I hadn't watched the games, but I actually watched the games on Sunday, and that's really when I kind of got a little antsy about things. Yeah,
that's when you missed it? Is that? I wonder what the emotion was, Ron.
Oh, absolutely. I missed it. And it's funny because I'm yelling at the screen and I'm watching things, we've got these two new dogs that are just trying to learn and understand us, and here I am yelling at the TV for no reason, and the poor things are, they're going outside, they don't want to hear it.
Welcome to the club of screaming at a football television screen, Ron. Welcome to the club.
It's funny. It's funny. Now I have a chance to say what I want sometimes about what goes on the field, and I could do it without getting in trouble. And,
yes.
It's kind of interesting to be in that position.
Okay. And before I let you go, I do want to put you in the position of being in the media, the paparazzi. You have seen a ton of teams this year. The toughest team that you've seen this year that you think is championship quality, has the chance to win the Super Bowl. Which one is that, Ron Rivera?
Oh, I'll tell you. I'd lean towards Baltimore right now. I think what Coach Harbaugh and the staff is doing, I think what they found in terms of how to use the quarterback properly. They're a team that knows how to get a lead and exploit the lead, and by that I mean once they get a lead, you really see the defense play. I think the only chance people really have against them is if they can keep them from getting a good lead where they can cut that defense loose. But if I was a betting man, I'd lead towards Baltimore.
Now, that said, in the NFC, so wide open, the last 3 road games you coached, at San Francisco, at Green Bay, at New Orleans, which one of those 3 do you think is the one with the best chance?
Well, it's kind of funny because you look at it, the best defense of the 3 obviously is San Francisco. The best offense, or the most, the one that really seems to be racking up right now is under Drew Brees' leadership. But the guy that everybody says you can't count out because he seems to find a way has been up in Green Bay. What Aaron Rodgers has done, in terms of keeping his team going and just the way he does it. The NFC is so tough right now. It really is, because it's very, very competitive at the top. We know who the elites are in the AFC, but oh man, I'm not going to say anything because who knows? I may end up having to face these guys sometime again next year. So I'm going to keep my mouth shut.
Okay, or the Carolina and you just can't bring yourself to say New Orleans. It's just maybe that's it. Could be that.
No, I have so much respect for what Sean Payton has done there. I really do. I've had an opportunity to watch him up close for 9 seasons, and even when they were down, the way they played, the way he did things, they were always competitive, and that's what's so hard to pick against New Orleans right now. But gosh, I hate to count out really good defense. I hate to count out a dynamic quarterback like Aaron Rodgers, who you just never know.
Well, Ron, I appreciate the call, and I'm not saying this just because you have called into the show for as many times as you have, and I've met you as many times as I had at the NFL Network as well as this show. But teams that would be very well off should they knock on your door and decide to get you off that golf course, Ron. And I look forward to seeing how this all plays out for you.
Well, I appreciate that, Rich, and who knows? We'll hopefully it'll happen early, and we can get working again.
You got it. Take care of yourself, Ron.
All right. Thank you, Rich.
You got it. That's Ron Rivera right here on The Rich Eisen Show.
For more of The Rich Eisen Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV for free on BR Live or download the Rich Eisen Show app.